Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome. Come on in. Hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas. And today's going to be a fun day because it's, kind of a New Year's stream celebrating the end of 2023, which quite frankly wasn't, it was a weird year for me. I just got sick a lot and it was also very busy. We had a ton of work to do on Twisted Tower. And so we're finally in sort of this, it's almost like we hit the, what's the word? We got the momentum and the snowball is rolling now. And guys, I wanted to say a huge thank you to the new students who joined full-time game dev with today's New Year's sale. Asa, Ashley, Gabriel, Ramon, Mark, Juan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining the program. And by the way, guys, if you are a student, let me know in the chat what you think about the program. I want your honest thoughts in the chat. Let me know what you think. Also, for those of you who are interested in joining I think we have 4,000 students now, over 4,000 students worldwide, you can get 50% off for the next 14 days for the New Year's sale. And I know what many of you are thinking, Thomas, didn't you just have a Black Friday sale and here you are doing a New Year's sale? That's because it's the holidays, right? And at the holidays, you always have a Black Friday sale and you always have a New Year's sale, especially for game dev, just because I know a lot of you are wanting to jump into game dev for 2024. This is the perfect program to do it. You're going to learn Unity or Godot or Unreal, whichever program or platform engine you want to learn. It's up to you. And hey, you're also going to get 2D Art Pro and 3D Art Pro completely free, but only for this sale event. You got 14 days left to join people like Lord Grimm here, who went full time using my exact strategy to get a publisher. That means it's Lord Grimm's job to make his own indie game. And he learned that in my course. It's a massive course, freaking huge. You're going to learn, again, any engine you want to learn. It's up to you. But also art, how to work with publishers, how to secure funding from Kickstarter, which I've done multiple times, how to code, how to hit the Steam front page, how to actually launch a game on Steam and market it appropriately. It's massive. So be sure to check out the program below. I would argue it's probably one of the most comprehensive game development programs out there because it's taught by somebody who's actually in the trenches making games, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. By the way, guys, feel free to download my free 2D game kit below. It's totally free. It's my treat to you. I used this exact 2D game kit to make a game for PewDiePie in 14 days, and then I got to play it in front of his subscribers, which was really awesome. So download that. Use it however you want. It's my treat to you. Yeah. Okay. Guys, can we give a round of applause to Mr. Gordon Arbor? Gordon Arbor has officially joined the Atmos Games team, and Gordon is in the chat right now. Gordon is our lead developer. He's leading, but I'm ultimately in charge. So don't get too excited, Gordon. But Gordon is our lead developer, working in C# and Unity on Twisted Tower. So huge. Gordon, don't get too excited. Jeez. Huge congratulations to Gordon. He's sitting in the chat bragging, isn't he? Okay, so let's take a look here. Actually, everybody just ignore Gordon. This is ridiculous. He's sitting there just smirking. Okay, so if we take a look at this scene here with Resident Evil, you'll notice that flickering light, it's a difficult thing to achieve, okay? Because it can be really annoying really fast. So I'm actually going to create a flickering light effect inside of Unity. That's our first task today. And then we're also going to go in and just adjust a lot of mixed light. And we're going to talk about mixed light today as well. Excuse me, I'm burping here. But to achieve this mood here, it's a very subtle flicker. It's not a lot. It's just enough for you to subconsciously know that things are flickering. Okay? So that's one thing we're going to do on our task. But also we're going to work on casino lighting in general, just mixed lighting to make things look more like a casino. And we're going to be working on that level in just a second when we jump into Unity. And then we're also going to work on adding some casino fog, okay? So I want to start really quick with the light flickering effect. This is cool because I did not write this. Who do you think wrote this? Does anybody know who wrote this script? It wasn't Mr. Gordon. It was someone else. Who wrote this script here? It's called, I know you can't see it yet. Give me just a sec here. There it is. Somebody wrote this delicious script here, and it is called the light flicker effect. Who wrote it? Someone smarter than Gordon, that's right. Just kidding. Here's the thing, guys, and ChatGPT, by the way. The thing, a lot of you might be wondering, why does Gordon get a job with Thomas's team, but when we have ChatGPT, why do we need people like Gordon? Well, the thing is that Gordon is part of the team, and the reason why any developer is part of a team is because ChatGPT, I'm trying to think of the right word here, it can create singular codes, but to integrate those codes into an entire system for a game is difficult. And to also diagnose issues, which, by the way, bug testing and just figuring out problems is 70% of Gordon's job. Okay, that's 70% of my job, is just figuring out what the heck is going on, right? So this light flicker effect we're going to replace with a ChatGPT effect. Okay, so this is called light flicker effect. Make sure we name the class appropriately. And the cool thing about this script is it allows us to create a length of time before the flickering occurs. Then we wait, and then it loops. And it flickers, and then stops, and then flickers, and then stops. So we're going to go ahead and save this script from ChatGPT, and we're going to bring it into Unity here. And we're going to test it out all the way up here inside of this creepy little... The set dressing is not complete by any means, but it's still a pretty scene. This little dungeon here, okay? So here's our torch. All right. The torch has a baked light, and there's a whole other conversation to be had about why we're using baked lights and why we're going to be changing them to mixed lights temporarily and bake them in mixed and then go back to baked. I'll talk about why we're doing baked and mixed in real time and when we're doing it. I'll talk about that in a little bit. I think it's going to be really important for those of you who are making a 3D game with lighting. Okay, so. Oh, welcome, Michael. How are you? Honest Dev Games. How are you? And Honest Dev Games, I completely agree with you. Honest Dev says, I wish AI was not a thing, to be honest. I also wish nicotine was not a thing. I really do. But here it is inside my office. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm going to go ahead and put this light flicker effect inside this right here. So you can see here, it's going to find our light. It should find it on start. It does, good. Okay, it finds it. And then we also have offset values. And then we also have the flicker length and then the static length. And these are going to go between two random values. So I think I want... There's no flicker smoothing, though. And I kind of wish there was flicker smoothing. Maybe we can have ChatGPT write that. But let's go ahead and see if this works, okay? So every 5 seconds, it should be static. And this is not true with a torch, okay? But with a flickering bulb, it probably will be. You'll have a static light, and then it'll... Okay? So let's take a look and see if this works. Hit play. And take a look. What? It used to work and now it doesn't. This is a great example of ChatGPT sucking. Let's diagnose the issue here. If is flickering. So let's look for the is flickering. Does this turn on or off? Thomas, is this bakery or Unity lighting? Well, in my experience, bakery and Unity lighting looks the same. It's just you have more control with bakery and speed with bakery. The problem with bakery is every light has to have a bakery component on it, and I don't want to deal with that. So I ended up just going with Unity lighting. So is flickering is not getting set to true. For some reason, it's not getting set to true. If static flickering timer gets greater than static length, then flicker is flickering equals true. Static length, let's look at static length. Static length is now 14 seconds. The flicker timer keeps getting reset. Oh, the timer's not going. The timer, static versus flickering timer. Okay, so that's increasing. So the flicker timer, oh, it's, yeah. Okay, it's working, guys. We just need to make these values pretty intense. -10 and 10. There we go. Here we go. Let's take a look. And by the way, is flickering is not getting set to true, but we can see the intensity right there, adjusting ever so subtly. Something's going on there. Am I on the right torch? That's the question. Well, it's set to static, so that's the issue. It's set to static. So the light itself cannot be static. So we're going to go into the variable, or to the actual prefab here, and these torches are scattered throughout the entire game, and we're going to turn it off. Not static. That we're going to keep static. Okay? That should do it. Let's take a look. Let's set this to -10 and 10 and see what happens. Now the is flickering is not getting set to true for some reason. I know you can't see because my head's in the way. Let's take a look here. By the way, those of you just joining us, just remember you can join full-time game dev below. If you want to support me, my team, that includes Gordon, that includes Felipe, that includes Hector. If you want to support these developers and support the channel, but also support your own future, 2024 is a great year to learn game dev. Check out full-time game dev below for the New Year's sale. Let's take a look here. I wonder why nothing's happening. There it goes. You can barely see it. Now let's watch these values over here. I want to see this timer. So I'm going to set that to public. And let's take a look. I mean, you could just set it to serialized field, honestly. Doesn't need to be public. All right, here we go. Let's take a look, guys. This is from Clayton. Hey, Thomas, hope the holidays went well for you and your family. They did. Thomas, do I upload my game to Steam? Wait, this is a question from Bloggy. I upload my game to Steam and I have like no money. Okay. I don't know what your question is, sorry. All right, so there is our timer. It's going to go up to 7 and now it's going to flicker. Good, okay. So if we set these values to -100 and 100, you're going to see it significantly occurring. So let's take a look. There it goes. There it goes. Now, that was very subtle, and I don't know why. Let's take a look again. It's lerping. Oh, because the smoothness value. Let's set it to 50. It should be fast now. If you set it to 50, I believe that'll be really fast. So let's take a look. Here we go. Wow. Flicker interval is 2 seconds. We don't want that. 0.2. Actually, 0.1. Very quickly. There we go. Oh, this is great. And we have a smoothness value here. So if we set the smoothness value to, let's say, 2, we should see it just smoothing between values. I like a little bit of smoothness. In reality, a campfire flicker is much quicker, but in a game, that's perfect. In a game, I don't want to see that intensity, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to copy these values, and I'm going to paste them inside of our prefab here so that every torch has this value, okay? So let's do that. Paste component values. Set this to 0. Static length is 10. Flicker length, let's just do 10 just for now. Flicker timer is 0. And let's hit play. Once we get these default values, we can then just put them in certain objects in the game. Now we don't want it to be static, right? We want it to be always flickering. There we go. That feels great. It really does. So let's set our flicker length to 10 and our static length to 0, okay? Actually, what we could do is let's create a variable called, it's going to be something called pause. Well, if we set it to 0, I wonder what would happen. If flicker length does not equal 0, I'm sorry, this is actually going to be in the static section. Static length, yeah. So what we need to do is say, look, if static length is set to 0, don't change the static length at all, because what's happening is every time flickering occurs, it's going to change the static length to be a different random number, and we don't want that, right? So we're going to say if static length does not equal 0, then sure, change the static length. This will ensure, and also if flicker length, yeah, we can do it here too. If static length does not equal 0, then we're going to change the flicker length. That ensures that it's not like, so it's not constantly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't want that. We want it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 4, 5. So we want it to be random. But in the case of a torch and not a light bulb, we want it to be constant, okay? So if we set our flicker length, our static length, let's say to 0, then it should constantly flicker. That's the theory. That's the theory. Smoothness is 1. I think smoothness should be around 4 or 5 maybe. A little bit faster. Let's try that. Look at that. This is ChatGPT, baby. Beautifully done. It feels real, doesn't it? Okay, so let's talk really quickly now. Now that that's all good to go, let's make sure it's in the prefab itself. So I'm actually going to copy this and remove it because it's not in the prefab. Let's go inside the prefab, paste the component, and let's talk really quickly about, let's think here. Let's talk, well, yeah. I want to talk really quickly with you guys about why we're going to make this a mixed light, okay? A mixed light includes one aspect of baked lighting. Does anybody know? Mixed lighting contains one aspect and only one aspect of baked lighting. And what is that aspect? Does anybody know? Mr. Dwarf Bangity Bang, welcome to the stream. You're a newcomer. Awesome. Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Nope. Indirect lighting. That's correct. So, I've currently got baked light maps here. If I disable this, what do you guys see? Look. What do you see right there? Does anybody see it? Well, the scene is still lit, huh? Why is that? Even if I disable this, look, it's still lit. Why do I see some lighting here? That's baked indirect lighting, and that is just basically bounced lighting. So it pretends that the indirect lighting is, it doesn't pretend, it makes the indirect lighting baked. So if you want to get that, that lumen, is it called lumen in Unreal? If you want to get that lumen effect, you have to bake it in Unity, unfortunately. So that's what we're doing. We're baking our mixed lights, and that's causing all the shadows to fill in with bounced lighting. It gives it a very subtle, sort of, I would call it a creamy look. It looks creamy. We have baked lighting here. Look at that. Right there. But we're also getting that real-time light of the flickering. Isn't that cool? Now, I have a theory that if it was changing its position, it would look cooler. So, I don't know if I actually want to do that though, because it's just too much code to deal with. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that. The flickering looks great though. Now let me show you. Let me show you really quickly how we could make this look like it's a light bulb. Okay. A light bulb, in my opinion, should have the same flickering effect, but it shouldn't be going all the time. That's kind of annoying, right? So let's go to floor, let's copy this really quick. Let's head on over to floor 4. I don't need to save anything because it's all in the prefab. But let's go over to floor 4 here, and let's see if we can apply some of this flickering to certain lights, okay? So these lights would be cool. I'm going to disable this one though. Let's make this turned off. Oh good, we already have an off variant, so I'm going to drag that in and replace it. Actually, wrong one. Hold on. Okay, so we don't currently... No, there it is, yeah. Okay, good. Now, you'll notice that our material is wrong. So let's turn off the emissive. There we go. And so now we're on our casino level. And I don't know what the heck's going on there, but I'm not going to worry about it. Let's add a flickering effect to this light. But now, this one's not a really good example, actually. This one actually should probably flicker in the same way that the torches do. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this prefab. And let's take a look here. Mano Tumero is in the fastest growing state in the United States. Who knows what the fastest growing state in the United States is? Anybody know? All right, so we got some flickering lights here. Now you notice that some of them are way too intense, right? It's partly due to the volumetric. It ain't Florida. And let that word ain't help you determine what state is the fastest growing. That's right. Shay Dev, it's South Carolina. Surprised? Surprised? Me too. But everybody's flocking to South Carolina these days. That's where I live. It's a great state. It's a beautiful state. Yep. Thomas, do you know what desk you have? Well, it's not from Amazon, and that's I know I sound pretentious, but it's not from. It ain't from Amazon. This is an Ergon office. It's an investment, but it is great. Brett, you live in South Carolina too? It's a great state. Okay, the volumetric is let's see if we can get the brightness to not be correlated to the intensity, because our volumetric is causing I mean, maybe just turn them off, by God. Let's see here. I don't think we need them. Let's turn off the volumetrics and let's take a look at the flicker effect. You guys ready? The volumetric is that subtle fog that surrounds light. I don't want that for these lights. There's really no reason. I can barely even see it anyway. But let's take a look now. Okay. Who knows why it's not happening? Does anybody know? Why is our light not flickering, right? Here's the thing about making a 3D game versus a 2D game. 3D games, it's a whole different paradigm. There are so many variables that can cause something to not look right, right? You get frustrated because nothing looks right and it doesn't behave the way you expected. So you have to learn how to diagnose and go through a bunch of reasons why something's not working. In this case, it's because they're set to static. Well, you want them to be set to static because a lot of stuff needs to be static in a 3D game. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to have occlusion culling. It's not going to be able to be baked properly. The nav mesh won't bake properly. But in this case, the point light itself does not need to be static because it's going to be flickering. Okay? Actually, was it just because it was disabled? And Thomas, you're going to bite your tongue here. Let's take a look. Brett says, for South Carolina, it's because of Volvo, Boeing, and BMW. Sure, I agree with that. There we go, it works. But you'll notice our volumetrics are, yeah, we disabled the wrong thing. Okay, so the light is actually correct, but our volumetrics are trash. I don't know if that's the only reason people are moving here. I think it's just because, well, we're not, the South Carolina government isn't really in your business, is really what's happening. It's a very free state, and there's a lot of flexibility here. And also the housing, it used to be good. Now things are getting really expensive, but it's beautiful too. There's mountains, it's warm, there's the beach, there's Charleston. Let's disable the volumetric though. And it looks like that static is not the reason for the light flickering not working, but let's double check. Oklahoma's becoming the same way. Yeah, all these sort of small town states are getting really popular right now. It's sort of this post-COVID world. Yeah, so that's working. It's super intense. You'll notice this really weird thing here going on. That's a volumetric, so I can go ahead and delete that. Sometimes you have to, if you zoom out, you can see where the problems are. It might just be this one. No, okay, let's delete the volumetric. I really don't need it, honestly. I don't know why they're even there. Let's delete the mesh renderer. And we should be good to go. All right, let's hit play here. Take a look. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, so South Carolina is like, it's kind of what you would imagine. People who like living on land, people who like country music, people who smoke cigarettes and drink beer and like to be left alone. It's kind of what the people are like here. I'm like that. I do like smoking cigarettes. I don't though, but that's kind of what people are like here. They like to be left alone. So yeah, this flickering is cool, but it's a little intense, isn't it? So let's drop it down. It's a little much. Negative 30, positive 30, and that should be good. Let's take a look. Brett, yep, shooting guns. Everybody's got guns. I've got some guns. Yeah, this is spooky. I like it. Only thing I know from South Carolina is moonshine, and moonshine is delicious. I love some moonshine. This looks great. What do you guys think? Subtle flickering. So this is not an animation, but you'll also notice it's not, I don't have to go into every single light and do this. It's one prefab, and those lights now cause the entire level to flicker. when we see that prefab. Which honestly, you know, we could probably create some custom flickering occurring in certain lights. So let me show you an example of what we would do with a custom light flicker, okay? So that's cool. I like those being sort of, they're almost like lanterns, you know? Let's see here. Cool. Ape Man says it sounds like the good life. It really is. It's just beautiful. It's sort of an old school, you know, traditional lifestyle. There's not a lot of chaos. It's not. Why are there 2 point lights? Why are there 2 point lights in here? Kind of feels like overkill, doesn't it, guys? There's one there. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, so this one's going to be called Point Light Cookie, and this one's just a regular point light. So this has the light flicker effect on it. It really shouldn't because it's so subtle. It's just going to cause problems. It doesn't need volumetrics either, so I'm going to adjust all of it. And notice how we're always adjusting things within the context of the prefab, guys. I rarely save a scene. It's mostly just prefab changes. That keeps everything's got nice controls. And everything is added to the level and adjusted in the level with these minor changes inside of a prefab because the prefabs are duplicated all over the place. But what I could do here for this light, if I wanted this room to have a creepy vibe, but I also wanted it to have sort of a buzzing vibe, I could set the static length to something like 3 and the flicker length to something like 1. Okay? And flicker interval could be much quicker. The smoothness could be more intense, so like faster. So let's hit play and take a look. This is from 666J1. Thanks for doing these. Nobody does these. Showing how to make a game and the hardships. Do you have plans to make a live for going through performance optimization? Well, that's kind of what we're doing right now, which we're going to talk about mixed lighting in just a second. Also, can we ask questions about your personal beliefs? Sure, that's fine. Most of you know I'm a Christian. And that shouldn't be surprising considering I live in the Bible Belt. Okay, let's see here. Ooh, the vibe is just great. Look at how it stays put, and then it starts flickering again. You see that? Look at that. That is so important. It's such a change when you have just this subtle flickering. And it's not all the time. It's just every once in a while. You could add a sound effect to the flickering. I could. We've done it before, and it's really annoying. And that's probably just because I don't know exactly how I want to do it. So you notice it's super dark, guys? That's because we haven't baked, I don't believe, we haven't baked our mixed lights. And that's something we want to discuss here in just a second. Let's see here. Our lighting, yep, there are no light maps. So all these shadows, guys, all these shadows really dark right here, we're not going to solve this by adding some ambient real-time lights. Instead, we're going to solve this by just throwing some indirect light throughout the scene in a bake, okay? But let's start really quickly with an issue I have. I want my lights, all of my lights in this scene. This brings us to this task here, which is casino lighting. What I knew I needed to do today was I need to go into the prefabs and I want to crank up this light significantly. And I might even want to pull it away from the wall. So we're going to go to this here, crank up the intensity and the range, just like so. Pretty broad, maybe even crank up the intensity more. Yeah. The reason I like to do this is because I like to be able to see those shadows being thrown. Look how creepy that is. Look, let me show you how important this is. There's this versus this. So that subtle change, yeah, it makes things brighter, but it also throws harder shadows, okay? And you might be wondering, okay, Thomas, if you change all these lights and make everything brighter, the whole scene's going to get bright, and then it's not going to be scary anymore. That's why we're going to go through and disable certain lights and turn them off, okay? You can see here, this is now way too bright. Actually, I kind of like this. I don't even know if I want to change this. But it also allows for that indirect light to be thrown over here, and it will be. We just have to bake it. This is cool. I wonder if we could increase the brightness for this fella here. So this point light, no, I think it's good. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's fly over here and take a look at these wall lights. So we cranked up the brightness of these guys. Let's go ahead and crank up the brightness of these guys. Okay, so again, we're going to go into the prefab itself. We're going to move that point light. I think we can keep it in the center for that one. And crank up the intensity and the range. So I'm going to do a clean value of 95 and 25. Okay? So it's what this does, it's so important to make for me, for like a creepy, moody game, you want the range to be much broader. You don't want it to be like a sharper, or you don't want it to be choked. You want it to be broad and soft because it's spilling through this foggy environment. Okay? The reason why I look generally good in this camera is because right next to me, right here, I have this big fuzzy soft, it's called a softbox, and it's even got a honeycomb grid on it. It's very soft lighting. It's what makes things look cinematic, okay? So that's why what we're gonna do here is crank up the broadness and the range to make it soft and spill down the halls, okay? This right here looks kind of bad because it's hitting that. So I think we do need to actually keep it inside the center of that. So let's move it back to the middle of it. Yeah, just like that. Save it. And we're going to work on what we're going to do now is make sure that all of our lights here, let's turn off lighting. It's super slow right now. This is super dark over here. So if we take a look at this light here, this light is specifically a ceiling light that we probably want to increase it's just a spotlight, and I don't like that. So what we're going to do is copy this here, this point light here, and I'm going to go to this spotlight here. And this is just a preference for me. When I have a spotlight like this, I don't like the spotlight to be actually a light. I just want it to be a volumetric, okay? So this is a spotlight here. I'm going to turn off the light, but you notice the volumetric got turned off. So I'm going to go to the volumetric class and set it to always on. And now we're going to always see this volumetric, barely see it. But you'll notice there's no light anymore. So let's put a point light in here, and we're going to make it look moody. Look at this. I think this is great. We could probably bring this down to 80. This can be 25. It is going to cast shadows, and I'm going to save it. And what you'll notice is every time that we're using this light in this scene, it's now adjusted to be this brightness. Well, the problem is that it's going to just make everything super bright, okay? So I like to go into my objects and create an off variant, okay? This one does not. So I'm going to call this ceiling 2 off variant. I'm going to disable the lights, and I'm going to make sure that our mesh renderer does not have an emissive material on it. So I'm going to go to Casino, we call it off, turn off the emissive, and then just drag that in, okay? There it is. Select it, and now I can drag right next to it a new variant. And that variant can now be swapped out. So now we have a version that's on and a version that's off. And so what just happened here is we had two bright lights that were killing the vibe. So I'm going to cut one off, and then the other one's going to spill into the other one and create shadows. And again, we'll see it with the indirect lighting in just a sec, okay? This looks good here. Those are fine. They're not really doing much for us. That's fine, I guess. You know, I really wish we could see into that more. I think the baked lights will probably help, but is there anything we need to do to these windows? Probably not, because those windows are used elsewhere in the game, and I don't really want to F with them. Let's take a look here. This is kind of weird. So what we need to do with this is fix, I believe it's the penumbra. So if we go down to our volumetric here, we can double check. It's not the, maybe it's the fall off. Yeah, it's the fall off. If I make it 1, or yeah, make it 10. So let's go into the prefab itself and set that fall off value to 10. We could probably increase the brightness of it to like 0.009. And then let's see here. How's it look over here in the scene itself? Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I might need to go into every single scene and adjust this because it's just, okay, there's 2. Yeah, this right here, we probably want to bring it down a little bit, or maybe just increase the range. So it's like that. But it's a delicate dance. It really is, because you don't want it to be too intense. So maybe 50. How about 30? And then crank this down like that, and then bring that up. Yeah. That's cool. It's just, it's a lot, you know. I'm not going to worry about this stuff right now, to be honest with you guys. It's just not worth it to me. There's a lot of stuff we need to worry about. Like, for example, this scene here. Okay, because we changed those prefabs. Also, let's change this material. It's not bright enough. So let's go to the emissive. Crank it up. So when you make a material change like that, it changes all the materials that contain that emissive. So now everything's fixed, and I just had to do it with one object. Okay, this is great. What's in here? Let's take a look. Nothing. Well, actually, there is something. There's a door. Okay, what about this? Good. Dark, 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 dark. Okay, so now we're going to go through the process of cutting off certain lights. So it's literally as if we were like the owner of a theme park and we wanted it to make really creepy. You'd turn on all the lights, and then you'd go through each light and turn off certain ones to make it feel creepy. That's really all we're doing here. So I just like to fly through the scenes. And that, by the way, will be fixed with mixed lighting. This strange look, it should get fixed with mixed lighting. We'll take a look though. Okay, so this is spooky, but I feel like, guys, I feel like we could get away with killing this. So let's go ahead and kill this light. I believe we already have one. Let's just see what happens. Yep. And make sure that emissive is turned off. Okay. And that's cool, right? But it could be cooler. Where's the brightness coming from? Ah, there's a point light here. So if we select this, turn it on, we're going to kill that light. There we go. Save it. Sweet. Okay. So it's spooky, right? But we could add a little bit more drama here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the prefab, and we're going to make adjustments. We're not going to go into the prefab, and we're going to make actual adjustments within the context of the scene itself. So I'm going to just crank up the intensity here, crank up the range. So now you can see the light is spilling into this right here. Okay. And we're going to fix a lot of this with this weird coloring here with the shadows with baked lighting. Okay. Probably bring the intensity down to 300. It's a little blown out. And by the way, guys, if you don't have what's called what's it called? Let's take a look at our post-processing here. Tone mapping on. If you don't have tone mapping on, you'll see it's really blown out, but the tone mapping softens harsher bright areas. Okay, good. All right, so that's cool. Kind of spooky scene here. Light coming in, creating these cool little lines. So let's go over here and take a look. Okay, that's cool. So I kind of look at every scene like maybe like a filmmaker would, or a photographer would. I kind of look at where the player might be positioned and what they want to see, what I want them to see. This is spooky. I like it. What's over there? Nothing. And again, we're going to fill in these shadows with baked lighting. Now this looks terrible. Look at how horrible this looks. Oh man, we're going to have to redo everything. Not so fast. Not so fast. Think about the focal point of an area. Okay. Well, I think I want the focal point to be over here. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill a ton of these lights. It's going to look better and actually be 5 times as performant. I'm going to take this light here, and we're going to turn it off. Do I have one? I should work. Why doesn't it work? I thought I had one. I can't turn it off. So that one is an interesting, what? Casino ceiling off. It's right there. Why doesn't it work? Replace. We need to set it to 2 by 2 by 2. There we go. Okay. So that's good, right? Kind of. Hang tight. Less is more, folks. Less is more. I'm going to keep that one over there. That one's kind of cool. We're seeing a lot of light bleeding into itself, and it's just looking ugly. Okay. And a lot of you might have this weird, what is wall off? There it is. If you're like me, you have this strange sort of psychological dance of thinking, why is it that I have to go into every little scene and pretend to be a filmmaker or pretend to be a theme park or a haunted house creator? Why can't things just look creepy like in real life? Like when I'm walking through a hallway at night, I'm creeped out. And when there's no lights. The truth is that when you're in that visceral experience in real life, things are creepy by default. When you turn out lights, they're just creepy. Okay? And also your eyes adjust and and you can hear, and it's just a totally different sensory experience. When you're watching a film or you're playing a game, you have to it has to be fine-tuned. So you have to be willing to go into every single scene and fine-tune the crap out of it to make it feel creepy. Okay? So let's do this. Let's kill this light here. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. I kind of want to create a sort of a light over here and then one over here. Okay, good. So let's actually turn this one off. Casino ceiling. Do I not have an off? I just created you. I believe that's it. Was that it? Nope, that's not it. What the F? Lamp casino ceiling. I just created you. What? Does anybody know where he is? I just created you. Where are you? You're over here. For the purposes of this live stream, we're just going to disable him. Okay? I want to show you guys without worrying too much about that. Okay, now, let us figure out what kind of controls we have. Well, we have these 2 lights. So why don't we crank up this one and adjust it over here to create more of an area light. But it's only one light, okay? It's only one light. We're not going to create another real-time light. We're just going to say, nope, consolidate everything down to just this one light. It's okay to move it over here, crank up the intensity, bring up the range, maybe drop down the intensity here. Now I'm noticing that some shadows are not being cast. Are there no shadows being cast from you? Okay, so they're able to receive shadows. It looks a little flat right there, and I don't know why. But my job is to create some cool shadows. That's sweet. Now, if you notice that it's just too harsh, like that's really dark up there, you make sure, we want everything to be baked by default, but I'm going to go to real time for just the present time. And I'm going to go to 0.8 so that I can see into those shadows and then set it back to baked. You can't change the intensity of shadows, I don't know why, when it's set to baked, but you can switch it to real time, change the adjustment, and then go back to baked. Lighting is probably one of the most idiosyncratic things I've ever worked with in Unity. It is a pain, a real pain to learn lighting. Okay, so that is good. But Thomas, it's not realistic. I know. Thomas, it's not consistent. I know. But every scene is going to have a cinematic look, okay? Maybe crank it down a little bit. And then this little fella over here, same sort of thing, okay? Maybe increase the range. Maybe we'll drop the range down for this guy. I don't like how warm it is, or not warm that is. I kind of want to just make this like this. Why are you not casting shadows? So that one I want to cast shadows. Good, okay. So really all we needed in this room, guys, we just needed one light. That's all we needed. We didn't need 5. We just needed 1. Okay? All right, very, very good. Okay. And we're going to get plenty of baked light in the indirect shadows, or indirect lighting. That's cool. I like that shot. That's cool. I like that shot. Let's go through here. This will be cool, especially with baked lighting, or mixed lighting. All right, let's jump into this scene here. It's not terrible, actually. Where's the focus, you know? Where is our focal point? Well, I kind of want my focal point. I really like how that looks, so I'm going to be okay with the focal point being just this central piece here. Just because I love that texture there. We have a spotlight and another point light. 2 point lights, one with the cookie. You can't see the cookie, can you? Wait, no. What's going on here? There are, what the F? A cookie, and then a spotlight, and then another spotlight. Man, there's too many point lights. I'm going to take a risk here and kill this one. Why is this even here? It's going to make certain scenes not look good, and we're going to need to go back. But this one here, we need to crank up the intensity and the range. There we go. Let's really crank up that intensity and then give it more of a vignetted look in this room. There we go. And if you see some dark shadows that you want to fill in, remember we're going to fill in those with indirect light. Okay. And it's okay to position things not realistically. Do you see how this is dramatic here? This is definitely cool. Like that. But now we can't see anything. So the goal is to create drama, but also make it functional drama. Most drama in life is not functional, but in this case it will be. That is great. Very Resident Evil. Okay? Very, very Resident Evil. I also want to see that cookie though. Remember that cookie, guys? So I'm going to crank up the intensity so we can see the cookie. Let's kill this light here. Where is our cookie? Okay, he's right there. So the cookie we can actually put down here. Like that. And then this point light we can put up here and decrease the range. So we're kind of faking light here. But that looks really cool. I like that a lot. Okay, so we've got our cookie. We've got it lit here. And one of these, can we go somewhere here? This is odd. I'm going to take this. I'm going to make this one turned off. There we go. Turn it off. There we go. And I'm going to make this not cast such an insane shadow because I can't even see in there. Let's see if we can turn off shadows, what happens. Yep, okay. So if we set it to soft shadows, real time, drop the shadows down to maybe 0.6, and yes, I'm being very surgical here. And then I set this back to baked. Now we can actually see that. So that's good. And this is I would say months of practice learning how to light scenes because it is so idiosyncratic. Okay, so it's super dark down here. I'm hopeful that indirect lighting will fix that. Over here, I'm seeing light bleeding through. And, you know, it's just kind of par for the course. I'm okay with it. That you can't even see. But this looks cool. I like this scene. I think it's fine. It's not like my favorite But I think it's fine. And by the way, those of you just joining us, remember you can join full-time game dev below. It's 50% off for the New Year's sale. I know it sounds gimmicky that I'm selling a course. I've been doing this for 3 years. I've been selling a course for 3 years, and over 4,000 people across the world have joined. And there's probably some of you in the chat who have joined the program, so let me know what you think about it. It's freaking massive. It's probably the most comprehensive game dev course out there. So check it out below if you want to, well, make 2024 not only the year you learn Godot or Unreal or Unity, because you can learn any of them in the program, but it's the year where you learn how to sell a game, whether it's to a publisher and get 6 figures with just a demo, or sell it on Kickstarter. And yes, I use the word sell because, well, it's kind of a pre-order campaign. It's a funding campaign, so you're going to make money. You're going to use it to spend on your game, but it's kind of a pre-order campaign. I've done that multiple times, raised 6 figures. Or if you just want to launch a game on Steam and be successful and hit the front page on Steam, I've done that too. And so I teach about all this stuff on the program. It's freaking huge. It's probably going to be the best investment you can make for your game dev future. So check it out below, 50% off for the next 14 days. All right, that looks really cool. I love that. Okay, so far so good, right? Pretty good. Let's go over here. Let's go through this door. Take a look. That's definitely creepy now. I love these hard shadows being cast. Very cool. Yeah, this is good. No issues here. Like a little closet here. That's cool. Oh, man, there's not really anything I need to do with this scene. This looks great. Nothing needs to change here. I don't know why that's blue. That's an odd question, isn't it? Let us see here. So that's blue. What about you? That's a volumetric. What is it even doing? Maybe the spotlight's the wrong color. No, I don't know. That's an odd thing. I cannot figure out why. Maybe it's just this warm light here. Is that inside of the enemy though? Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, so here's a great example of like, look, you don't need this much light. And sometimes you want to light a whole hallway or a whole room and it's all lit because it creates this contrast of I'm walking through a creepy dark tunnel and then I open up a door and there's a ton of enemies and it's fully lit and I blow all the enemies' brains out and then I go through another hall and it goes back to dark, right? So in this case, we're going back to dark. So you sort of just have to feel it out as you're lighting the scene. Okay, that looks great. Super slow. Super slow. That's because we have a ton of areas activated right now, and there's also no occlusion culling. So this is a great example here of like, look, what do we want our focal point to be? It's a large room here, a lot going on. I would say, honestly, because this is an arena, and I know it's an arena, meaning enemies spawn here and the door's locked, because it's an arena, I don't really want to mess with it too much because I kind of want everything to be lit. Okay, we're going to get bounce lighting here in the bake. I think we could probably kill you. We could probably kill him. And then maybe kill him. And let's just go ahead and save the scene here. And let's do a mixed bake just to make sure everything's looking good, okay? So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go to our rendering, Light Explorer. And remember how everything was set to baked? All of our lights, except for like our enemy lights. So you can see we have, this is the Light Explorer. We have a ton of real-time lights. These are all real-time. Those are the ones inside of enemies. So we don't want to bake anything associated with those. I'm going to go to all my baked lights, all the way down, scroll all the way down to the bottom of all of our baked lights. We're going to set all of them to mixed. Okay? Now, if we go to our lighting tab here, we can, all my settings have been set up and fine-tuned. These were painfully studied. I had to figure out what each of these do. But the one that really matters with mixed lighting is our baked global illumination. So we have an indirect intensity here This is basically set to 2.5 for this level in particular because it's a much darker level, okay? And so I really want to fill in those shadows a little bit more. So this multiplier takes our indirect light that's being cast from our mixed lights and it cranks up the intensity so those shadows really fill in. So this is not going to take a long time because our texels are set to 3. If our texels were set to 40, which is kind of the default, it would take all night to bake. But because we're doing a really low resolution bake, just to see how it looks in the abstract, it should only take maybe a minute here. Okay, so let's take a look here. You can watch the bake occurring down there at the bottom right hand screen. Versus Evil shut down? No way. That is not good. I hate hearing about that. Why are there cameras on the lights? Those help create shadows within the volumetrics. So it's some volumetric light tool I downloaded from the Unity Asset Store, and it throws cameras inside of lights that have shadows so that you create scattered shadows. It just needs a camera to do it, to find where to cast the light. It's kind of weird. So far, our shadows are really filling in nicely. You can watch it here. It's happening in real time. Look at that. They're really filling in here. And guys, this is what I was talking about, where indirect light that's being baked, it makes it look creamy. The creamiest, most moody looking game out there is BioShock Infinite, in my opinion. By moody, I mean, or stylized. It's like a stylized first-person shooter. Everything's creamy and soft. My theory is it's done with a lot of ambient occlusion, but also plenty of indirect lighting that's multiplied. Okay. So now, any great horror game is going to be dark. But the thing that people don't think about is that it's actually not dark. It's not fully black. It's subtly black. Okay. So we're seeing some baked indirect lighting here. Okay. And in fact, I would argue we've got a little bit too much, don't you think? Because these are real-time objects, therefore they're not receiving baked global illumination, and they're much darker than this. So we need to go into our multiplier, and let's go to 1.5 and regenerate the light. Does that make sense, guys? So all we're doing right now is just controlling the baked indirect light multiplier. And so a good rule of thumb is it should generally look the same as dynamic or as well lit as dynamic objects that are not receiving that global illumination. Again, global illumination is not typical baked lighting. It's not this light here. I have a light right here, okay, that's pointed at my face. It's not that. Okay, baked illumination is what happens to the light as it scatters throughout the room. It's that soft, subtle glow. Okay, if I have a flashlight here and I put it on my hand, that right there, that's actual light. Okay, I could bake that onto my hand if I stood still. Okay, but the light that bounces away and up hits the ceiling even, or hits my face, that's the global illumination we're trying to capture here and fill in the shadows. All right, let's take a look here. Lighting is so hard to understand. How did you learn it? Any resources? The best thing I did was I reached out to people on Twitter who worked for studios, and I do have this sort of privilege because I have like almost 20,000 followers on Twitter. So I could put out a call for help on Twitter and say, hey, does anyone want to teach me this stuff? And so people will message me and say, hey, yeah, we can jump on a Discord call and show you what the idiosyncrasies are, because frankly, the Unity documentation is trash when it comes to Unity lighting. They'll say things like mixed lighting is more performant. In what way is mixed? I really want to know. If Unity wants to reach out and tell me why mixed lighting is more performant, please tell me. Because frankly, it's not. There's no reason why it would be, because actually mixed lighting is less performant than real-time lighting. Real-time lighting does not include baked global illumination. Mixed lighting is the same as real-time lighting, but it has that baked global illumination that's painted throughout the scene. Therefore, mixed lighting is actually heavier because It's heavier on the load time because we're going to load 8 megabytes of a light map, which includes our baked global illumination, and then also just the typical RAM or GPU being used to render the real-time portion of the mixed lights. So there's certain parts of the Unity documentation where I'm like, I don't even think you guys know what you made. Unity says, it just is. That's right. Okay, so we're working on our baked global illumination here. It's kind of frozen for some reason. But overall, I think it's great. You know, we're filling in these shadows. Look how soft it is. And that's just because of a low texel count. It looks almost like a watercolor now. And I love that. I love that look. Getting some ambient occlusion in there as well. These stairs, are these dynamic? No, they're not. So they're not receiving the global illumination for some reason. But again, guys, this is not typical baked lighting. Baked lighting is literally everything about the lighting is static and painted forever onto your level. And it always looks really flat. The specular information's gone. The metallic information is gone. You also have to place a bunch of light probes to try and create light without it being real time. But in my case, we're actually using mixed light. So we're just getting that baked global illumination. Why is it taking so long? I might want to kill it and try again. Sometimes it gets sort of stuck. Let's go ahead and clear it. And I could show you guys really quick. This is what it looks like baked with our global illumination. It's got that soft watercolor look. I really like it. It's a big deal. And if I stop it and then clear it, that's what it looks like without it. So never underestimate the value of mixed lighting. It makes a huge difference. It's honestly what separates a game from that AAA or AA look versus an indie title. It's a big deal. Now, with Unreal, you're going to get things like Lumen that, yes, it will make your Nintendo Switch smoke and catch fire, but it does look great out of the box because it's all real time. I believe it is a post-processing effect, though, where this is actually baked. Let's clear the data and then bake. Try again. This is from Morph. Hi, Thomas. First time watching a stream. I love your channel, even though I use Unreal. I hope you have had a lovely Christmas. I did have a lovely Christmas. Thank you. Okay, let's see if this bake works, guys. And does anybody have any questions about lighting in particular? Does anybody have any questions about lighting in particular? I would love to know any questions you have. Can I ask a question about Twisted Tower? This is from Sugar Rush. Look at it coming in. You see it? Do you guys see why it's a big deal? Look at that. I'm very interested in the game. Oh, wait. Is the combat fun? Like, is the gameplay fun? Yeah, it actually is. It is really fun. I would argue that this game is kind of therapeutic in its violence. It's got that Half-Life Doom. Well, it's got a Half-Life story and feel, but the rate of gunplay is a little bit more like Doom or Dusk. It's not as intense. So by therapeutic, I mean it's just like pull the trigger, brains, pull the trigger, brains, pull the trigger, brains. Just very cathartic, but there's mood and there's atmosphere and there's a beautiful story at the same time. It just feels good to shoot the gun. And that's why I say it's cathartic. I wish these guys were lit more. They're just so dark. I'm going to crank up the brightness in Photoshop. I've known for a while now these they get lost in shadows, and we're going to just fix that in the albedo. Got some chills there. Okay, you guys ready? Let's take a look here. And I'm actually going to throw a gray over top of this. Save it. And then now I need to throw that onto the material. So it's a new PSD file. So the material itself is still really dark. If I bring it into a lit space, what happens? That's pretty, I guess. The normal map is too subtle. Ooh, look how shiny he is. Yeah, I like that much more. The problem is in the shadows, if you make it shinier, well, no, it gets pretty good actually. Okay. All right, let's hit play and take a look at this new look. Now, you want to make sure you set all your lights back to their default in the prefab, and I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? But let's hit play here. The most important question is, how can I optimize lighting for performance? Baked all the way, except for like a flashlight, which would be real time. Everything else is baked. It's going to look worse, but everything else is baked. All right, so we have our mixed baked lighting that got spilled into the shadows. So look, even these darker areas you can still see now because we have baked lighting. Look at this. Remember this corner over here, guys? Look. So we have this baked light that got spilled into this. Now you notice that some of our specular and some of our metallics look a little gray. Okay? So I'm gonna explain to you why that's happening in just a second here. Good. So everything's a lot more lit now, and I like that. This is odd to me. There's certain things that just stick out like a sore thumb, and maybe they don't to you, and that's just because I'm more intelligent. Okay, so look, you can see our specular are really strange now. I'm going to show you how to fix that. You think I'm joking. I am joking, actually. But there is also experience when it comes to lighting of knowing when something's off versus when it's expected behavior. So right now, the metallics and the specular are kind of off. You can see in certain places the specular has like a blue tint to it. And that's because we haven't properly baked our reflection probes. Okay, so shadows look great. Those doors are really dark. Yeah, you can see right there. Look. We need to bake reflection probes. So that's going to be a final process of the game. Sorry, it's just really slow right now. Yep. We gotta fix that. So far so good though. Yeah, those doors are really dark. Let's fix that. You guys want to fix that really quick? This is a issue with the albedo, okay? It is not an issue with the lighting. Anytime you see something like that that's way off, this right here, it's an issue with the albedo. So I'm going to crank up the brightness here just a tad, save it, and then it should fix itself. Yeah, that's much better. Good. Awesome. It feels way better. So I'm glad that the baked lighting has helped us a lot. Now, one final thing that I forgot to mention is that every level we want to add a volumetric fog that sort of shrouds the entire level. So I'm going to actually, before we do that, Thomas, you almost forgot, buddy. Let's go to our light renderer, light explorer, and I'm going to press Control Z until these go back to baked. Are you ready? Let's do it. Got to be careful because we want these to go back to their default state, but the bake will remain, okay? Because I want them to be baked. Good, there it goes. Yay, okay, they're back to normal. Our doors are still good though, because that was a change in the PSD. Everything else is good to go. Man, it's slow today. And it really is just, it's a Unity thing. It's never this slow. So I just need to go back and close Unity and open it up again. All right. Let's take a look at our reflection probe really quick, see if I can solve this. We have a reflection probe. There's one that's just useless that's sitting here. So we're going to kill that. What the reflection probe does is it basically says, look, what should be reflected in this level? Because real-time reflections on a material itself are really expensive. So you can see here, here's our reflection probe. This is being reflected throughout the entire scene. You'll notice that there's a skybox at the bottom. So blue is being cast in certain areas. It's really bad. We don't want that. I can actually just do a color and not reflect anything and just choose a generic color I want to reflect in all metallics. So maybe like this brown color here. HK3, $38. Thanks so much. Curious as a Christian how you justify violence with your love for making games. Something I'm struggling with as a Christian myself. Well, there's certain things I'm not going to put in my games as a Christian. I say that as a Christian because like it's not a Christian game, right? That for clarity, I'm not a Christian company and I don't make Christian games. But there are certain things I won't put in my games, like just because of certain things about my faith, like blasphemy, or glorifying something that I believe is wrong is not what I want to do. Anything that's like porn, a graphic, no. Or just like a hyper sexual, I won't do. Violence, killing silly, weird creatures in this dreamlike world. I don't see anything wrong with it because the whole Bible is extremely violent. If you read, if the Bible is the core tenet of a Christian's faith, then don't read the Old Testament. So I personally don't have a problem with mulching enemies, because it's just silliness. Okay, so that bake is really strange. What is that? We got that. Like I said, that is the reflection issue. So let's go ahead and rebake this reflection probe. Okay, and then if you make it really big, like 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000, you'll see that it didn't solve the problem. It just made things look washed out. Okay, so what you can do is just continue to, you can either place reflection probes all over the level in very specific locations, or you can choose a generic color that you want reflected. So I'm going to go a little bit darker and bake it again. And yeah, it's not horrible. That's probably what we're going to do for our game. Gordon says he has a sexy enough team. He doesn't need to add that crap to the game. Now there are like sexual themes in this game. Like this right here. Princess Charlotte is hot. And it's in this place called Pleasure Palace. So the game is very sensual, but there's not anything that's like blatantly overt nudity or something like that. I do feel like I might be towing the line a little bit here, but I don't know. Okay, scene looks great. What do you guys think? Let's save it out here. We can save it. We've got our baked lighting. We've adjusted our light sources to be not so frequent. And we've changed our reflection probe to be almost black. And looks great. Looks great. Really, really does. So all in all, I just wanted to share that with you guys. And just remember, if you're interested in joining full-time game dev, I'm being honest here, guys, because when I first launched this program, I felt weird like doing ad reads for it because I didn't really know if it was effective. But we've got 4,000 students worldwide. And every time I ask somebody in the chat who's actually a student what they think, honestly, I can't even think of a time somebody said they didn't like it. So it's a really massive program. You're going to get 2D Art Pro and 3D Art Pro completely free. So those are my art programs. You're getting it completely free for this New Year's sale. 50% off the program, so it's a massive discount. And these brand new courses for Godot and Unreal are thrown in for free into the program. So you can learn whichever engine you want to learn. Unity, Godot, Unreal. Whichever ones you want to learn, it's up to you. It doesn't matter. So So there's the development side of the program, but also there's the publishing side, which Lord Grimm took advantage of. The publishing side is, how do I find a publisher and get 6 figures in funding with just a demo? Yes, it is possible. I've done it multiple times. I did it just recently. I think it was July this year, where I signed with 3D Realms. I did that with a demo. Okay, so it is totally possible to take a game and get funding before you finish your game. In fact, I've only ever done that. I've only ever got funding for my games so that I could work on it full time from the comfort of my own home, like I'm doing right now. Finish your game and you have a salary, you're getting paid. It's pretty awesome. You don't have to worry about launching your game and hoping it makes enough money. Okay. Also, how to do Kickstarter campaigns. I've done this multiple times. 6 figures on Kickstarter twice. How to hit the new and trending tab. How to launch your game on Steam. Done this. Okay. C#, also Godot script tutorials and blueprint tutorials if you're going to do Unreal or Godot. It's freaking huge. So click the link below if you're interested. Guys, this is a great time. It really is. You're feeling motivated. You want to start making games. You want to make 2024 the year you start your own game studio. Just finish a game. This program's going to get you there. I really believe it. And it is more than just this. It's also this. Holy crap. Lot to learn. And you can take it step by step. Go at your own pace. It is a huge program, guys. Most comprehensive course I can think out there. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. I'll talk to you later. This was super duper fun. I love you guys. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'll see you on the other side. Get over here. Get down. Hey, thanks for watching. By the way, if you haven't downloaded that free 2D game kit below, click below. It's my treat to you. I used this game kit to make a game for PewDiePie in 14 days, and I actually got to play it with him in front of his audience, which was really cool. This game kit is totally free. It's my treat to you, and you can use it however you want. You can make a commercial game and make $1 million off this game kit. I don't care. Or you could just use it for a hobby project. It's my treat to you. And by the way, if you haven't clicked like, that would mean a ton to me. Hit subscribe. And also, this is important, hit that notification bell. Here's why. If you get notified of when I'm live, you can watch me make my next game and let me know in the chat what you think about the game or any ideas you have, and you might just show up. Your chat might just show up in the next video that I upload. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. I love you too.